Okay, I think it's going to work. So we're just going to be live on Facebook, which is fine. Let me make sure it's working. It looks like it is. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what do I need to do here? I need to go here, there. Okay. So we're going to get there. Okay. Hang on a second. All right. Okay. Necessary. Okay, we're live on Facebook. All right. How's it going, everybody? Okay, we are live. We're only going to be live on this page for this episode. I'm going to let people have a little bit more time to come in since we're late. And I'm going to pull up the beautiful, beloved sister, Janine Palmer, who's been out in the community for a long, long time. I've tried to, I have approached her about coming on several times before, and I always drop the ball. But anyway, so she's on now, and that's what makes this is important. It's an important day. It's a 9/9 portal. We got 4 very powerful women on today. I should say souls, really, because gender's becoming less. It's changing. But anyway, it's a really powerful day. I'll be right back. We're just going to jump on to the intro real quick and let people have time to come in. If these shows resonate with you, please share. We would appreciate it because we're suppressed constantly. Be right back. Just let me get this situated. I'm off my game a little bit, but we'll get there. Hang on a second. Let me get this. Okay, this is not going to work. Hang on a second. What? Okay, we got a problem. Hang on. Here we go. Sorry, Janine. Just hang on one second. Sorry, everybody. We're going to get there. Universe is never late and it's always on time. Here we go. I'm just not used to using Zoom anymore, but I'm glad I have it as a backup for situations like this. All right. Okay. Let me get Janine up here because I know y'all came here to see her, not me. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Janine, promote. There we go. Okay, Janine, you'll be coming on now. Let's see, start video. She's coming. There she is. Oh, wait, you're muted. You're muted. You have to unmute yourself. You see the microphone at the bottom left? Just click it. It should have a line through it. There you go.
Got it. Sweet.
Finally, we get to see each other.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like last year and the year before. And you said, yeah, let's do it. And then I'm like,
Well,
I
I'm
get,
technically challenged with these kinds of things. So,
are you really? Well, you
oh
make
yeah, I don't
video.
know how to do all this stuff.
You make videos. I know you do because you've made them for
Yeah, but
years.
I don't edit them.
Right. So just so everybody knows, am I in the right? Okay, let me see. I am so confused. This is a powerful portal day. I'm sure that you've got some information on that. I had your page pulled up. I had everything in front of me that I wanted to, because I don't usually do like bios. So let me just wing it like I always do. What the
Okay.
hell?
All right.
So Soulogy Group was started in 2012, March the 12th. It was given to me on March the 10th, 2012. The name, and which is Morgan's birthday, like 3 years before I even met her. But so you're like one of the people. There's like maybe three, four people that I really resonated with because you were posting in Soulogy and otherwise I know, like I want to say back in like 20 2014. I mean it was a while back,
Yeah.
definitely a while back.
Right.
And so obviously I noticed you then, and no doubt about it. And what I was going to say, you, Lavelle Zimmerman, I'm trying to think of a couple other people, but the standouts, a couple other poets. And so you guys both inspired me on a personal level. Plus, you were really early contributors to the Soulogy group, which this is back when there was like 6,000 people, and I mean, so you're always be a part of it to me.
Well, thank
I
you.
know you're very welcome, and you're a fine writer and a fine poetess.
Thank you. And so
Uh,
are you.
Thank you very
Right back
much.
at you.
But you're also lit. You do a variety of things, I guess, like I do. So you put up memes, you do videos. I know you do, which I don't. And I have a feeling you work with people as a energy practitioner, probably maybe another name, hypnotherapist, I think, something to that
Yeah.
degree.
Hypnotherapist and shamanic practitioner. Yeah.
Okay. So
Mhm.
you do a little bit of everything. That's one of the things I love about you. And the other thing I love about you is, first of all, your soul is deep. Like your poetry, like I'd see stuff that you write and I'd be like, oh shit, I got to go write something now, man. Or,
I know.
and it wouldn't be like a conscious thing. It would be like,
No, it's great when it's inspirational like that. Very
exactly.
cool.
It would, that's right. It's like this good friction, you see something, you're like, oh, I just rubbed up against her. Now I'm going to go into this space where my energy met her expression, and pull something down, because
Awesome.
you're you have this deep soul that goes into these places like I'm familiar with. It's almost like the shadow. I don't want to say suffering and pain, but I guess that was part of it, especially a few years ago. And then you're able to like alchemize it. But the other thing too is then you put out stuff like memes and other posts where you're making a what I call a soul sensical statement. Like you're
Mhm.
not judging people, you're not,
That's the
but
key.
you're
Yeah.
calling you. It's like a call to arms. It's like, hey, cut the fucking bullshit, people. Let's just, and it
Yeah.
applies to me and it applies to all of us. But
Amen.
look, let's call it out. Let's call it out for what it
Yeah.
is. So, having said all that, I am in your. I'm totally probably the chairman of the board in your admiration society.
Oh, thank you very much. Right back at
And
you. I
and
appreciate all you do with all your videos and talk shows. It's wonderful.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, well, we all have our roles, but so I
Mhm.
mean, of all the people, this is like we're going up on 2,200 episodes of this particular show, and
Okay.
uh, I used to ask everybody, and you probably see me do it, like, when did you wake up? That's like, because, when you start out doing a show like this, you're like, you're a little bit more self conscious. And what am I going to do? Even though I do everything spontaneously. And, but as time's gone on, I don't ask it too much. But for someone like you, I got to ask that question. I mean, you've got so many multifaceted uh, parts of you, aspects of you that I see come out in the different types of expressions you put out in your energy, and I'm sure in your work
Mhm.
privately. But how did that go down for you? Did you have like a reawakening in or around 2012? Did you go through a bunch of
Mm.
traumas and the universe hit you in the head with a two by four and all that stuff?
Oh
went
yeah.
to sleep,
Dragon
estranged from the
playing.
family, you know, and all that stuff? Or was yours
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, all of that stuff. So I've been asked that question before, and I don't know that I can directly pinpoint it like some exact thing, but I can explain it. It would have been things going on around 2012, but I think it even started before that. And it was going through a series of unfortunate events of losses and being redirected to become more of a seeker, to study more deeply, to get more in touch with the spirituality, to get
yeah.
answers to questions like religious things, and to learn. Because I was studying the Reiki first at like around that time, 2012, right before that.
All right.
So I'm in Southern California. We're having wildfires right now, but in 2007,
Wow.
we lost our house in the wildfires. And that just set off a string of things. But I later found out through my shamanic teacher when we were doing soul retrieval, work. She said, "Oh well, there was this earth dragon that was like responsible for helping your house burn down to redirect you on your path."
Is
Right.
that
So
right?
that makes sense because sometimes we're just in this zone and we're just not realizing what we should be doing. So after that, I would say I kind of discovered a calling. So I started reading a lot, studying a lot. I went back to college. I was studying humanities, philosophy, critical thinking, world religions. I was studying Gnostic gospels, spiritual teachers, and just getting a lot more answers, which moved me away from the organized religion, man-made religion, getting me more in touch with a deeper connection of God and having a different understanding of what God is, because to me, that's far different than what religions teach. So a lot of my
Yes.
work is moving beyond dogma or moving beyond belief and into knowing. So the genres are typically energy healing or spiritual, emotional healing,
Yeah.
moving beyond dogma and stuff like that, just esoteric things. So there was a whole bunch of different things that happened that knock you to the ground to where you're going to try to heal and shift that. And you do that on different levels. Like my spouse at the time, he's like, he didn't want to know, wasn't interested. So I kind of had to walk that path by myself and open up to what this was. And I've always been interested in writing. So I just started doing it about 5 years ago. It's just started flowing through where I would just constantly pretty much write every day, sometimes multiple things a day. And then there's all these collections that get put into the books. But the messages are helpful. So sometimes they make people really look at something more deeply that maybe they weren't looking at, that maybe they don't want to look at. It's not
Yeah.
comfortable. But
I
if they
get
do
that.
it, it helps them to shift something. So it has
Yeah.
had good results for a lot of people.
Do you ever get those messages from people like, "Were you talking to me?"
Yes,
or
all the
they
time,
get or they get
all the
pissed
time.
off at you and like you,
Yeah, they'll say it's
yeah,
too personal, or it sounds like
yeah.
you're speaking my life. It's like you can see into my soul.
Isn't that crazy though?
Yeah, but I
I
did
mean,
start to learn to talk to guides, to open to that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that was helpful. And
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, again, you have such a broad spectrum of like, for instance, you and I had it pulled up here. Is it Silver Wolf? Is that
Silver Moon.
Silver Moon? Okay. And for some reason, way back when I know we've like collided like several times. Like I know this goes back like 5 or 6 years, but for some reason, I always one of my spirit guides is a white wolf, and it's actually the spirit of my heart, right?
Ooh, nice.
And
Yeah.
this was a lot, now it's more embodied, and there's a bunch of other players in the house and all that. But back then, it was maybe 10 or 12 different essences.
Right.
But I always saw you as like I always saw that when I would look at you, I would see like this wolf spirit, like in moon, moon wolf, like that
Yeah, there was a
whole,
big connection with wolf for me for a while from
yeah,
different areas, for
yeah,
sure. So it's cool that you pick up on that.
yeah.
The name was given to me by a friend that's a Blackfoot chief and shaman, and the
Wow,
name is Spirit Silver Moon. And
wow.
then when I completed my shamanic training, they gave me the name Owl Feather, which kind of ties in with the writing. But I had already been
It's,
using Silver Moon,
See,
so
my other spirit guide is well, there's three of them, but the second one is White Owl, which is and
and
you're
she said with me, she saw a big owl, like a big white great horned owl energy with me. And
yeah.
one of my guides though is White Eagle, the Ascended Master
Mm,
White Eagle. Yeah,
mm,
one of my main
wow.
guides.
So, and when did you dip into that? When did that start happening? Like for me, for instance, like it was 2011. I mean, I had, let's say 3, 4, 5 experiences, uh, over whatever 49 years. And then the dam broke in 2011.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I started to communicate with the course spirit guides and disincarnated souls and divine essences and ascendeds Did that happen that way for you too? Did they all start coming in?
No, basically this would have been after 2012 and I think I started opening to this. I went to a spiritual healer lady. She just reads your chakras and she'll tell you something about a past life. And that started to open me up later when I started to learn how to investigate this and get answers to deeper questions like that. And somewhere I read, I think it said, if you want to find the name of your spirit guide, visualize walking up to climbing a mountain and sit there and wait until you get a name. And that happened. And that was got the name of a guide. But then I guess I started reading more about ascended master guides and then started, I don't know, being open in meditation or shamanic journey to who would come in. And there's a main few that I would work with a lot, but sometimes other ones will come in. So I think I just opened up myself to that, to trust that. And it's been very helpful to me to have that, I guess, spiritual telepathic thing.
Well, here's another one too, because that's how it happened for me was, there was an initial thing that happened, which actually had a physical apparition, which I realize now was an aspect to me, but it was Jesus came in the trees.
Oh, cool.
Cosmic Christ, I guess, would be a better way to put it.
Yeah.
And then he kind of we had a conversation, and then a few months down the road, I said to him, because I was assisting disincarnated souls and kind of connecting some of them with their relatives here.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I was like, okay, can we go deeper with this? There's got to be something, like you were saying, you're seeking that deeper ground or the higher ground. And what happened was I said, well, I just called that Jesus to come back, and boom, he was there. And then what I was going to say is that once he came in and Magdalene came in, they told me some things. Then they said, okay, now you're going to go find your guides. And so I would go up this mountain and at each level of the mountain, there would be one, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's another similarity. I've always felt a deep resonance with you. Honestly, I mean, it's just awesome. Like I know you,
Yeah. So yes, because soul recognition, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing about you too is, I don't know, our methods were the same, or kind of like the broadness of our expressions were very similar, in that we weren't like pigeonholed. But there was more. This is really futile because it's more of an energetic resonance and familiarity. And then also the way you work. You don't you're not, I'm probably louder than you, I mean, but just,
I can get loud.
Oh, I know. I mean, I probably watched 20 of your videos. I used to do them quite a bit. And, but you just put it out there, you just put it out there.
It's very direct. Yeah. It's very straightforward.
And you don't look back. You always just go, boom, on to the next one, boom, on to the next one. Yeah. So, so one of the other things I was going to ask too is what makes you tick? I've never asked anybody that, but I was thinking about it and I thought, wow, what makes her tick? And now that you've already pretty much answered most of it, but so you've got a strong Native American presence in your field.
Also Celtic though too.
Celtic.
And this is parts of who I am because it's parts of who I've been. It's what I brought in with me from what I've been learning about myself.
Yeah.
Through intuitive people who helped me to see what I didn't otherwise see.
Yeah.
But my calling, I say I'm on a mission for God or from God, which that too, but yeah, my calling, but this is how I would describe it. And a friend helped me understand this is, okay, so it's the compassion. So my passion, or he would say your compassionate flame, it's the passion in your compassion. It's the flame. So, and I know that there's different aspects that tie into what that is, which I might go into detail with some people that are open to it, because some people will understand it and other people will probably think you're, batshit crazy, but, because you're just talking about
stuff. We're all getting used to that now.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a connection with different work that we do. Like some people will say it's angelic, or other people will look at you and go, oh, you're a witch. Or even if you don't practice that, but they see something.
I'm sure you've been called that.
Well, people tell me that. I mean, it's like, I didn't know. I'm like, okay, well, that's not like something I practice, but people look
you
at
have,
you have that.
You have a deep deep well or deep reservoir of, to me, like soul experience. Like
Yeah.
I can see you as a white witch. I can see you as a priestess. I
That,
can
yeah, I
see
was
you.
told high priestess by
Yeah.
someone who does charts.
Yeah.
She goes, you have Celtic ties way back, high priestess. She goes, you spent time in a monastery, because I know I've been a nun.
Yeah.
I know I've been native, or whatever, male, female. I was told I was been a Knight Templar. So just the different things that you bring in. Like my
Okay.
one friend, he says, you have carried the energy of a knight, and it's very heavy. Like, you think?
Yeah. See,
Yeah,
there we go. There's
that comes out.
almost
That
everything
comes out.
you're listing is I just never talk. I don't really ever talk about it unless we're having
Yeah.
a
So,
conversation.
but you know what? How do I know about this stuff? Because intuitive or psychic people have told me. Most of the stuff I'm telling you, I would not have known about myself because I don't remember it. But they tell me,
Yeah.
and sometimes things will resonate, and it sort of opens up something in you, and it is what we bring in. It's part of who we are. So there's different aspects of who we are that we bring in, certain knowledge or certain energy,
True.
or
True.
with soul contracts, whatever it is we're bringing in, that what we're supposed to be doing on our mission or whatever.
That's true. And I think that's an important thing to restate because, so much of, from what I've grasped, and I know we all have this in common, we look at, especially in the spiritual community over the years. Now, this probably applies more over the years, but there's no linear. So there's a lot of people waking up right now. That's why I think this is important, what you just said, because we're like in this place of almost inferiority, and it's like, oh well, she can do that, and she can do that, and she can do that. Like, this is really interesting to me because I'm very similar, especially in my early years. Although I was having divine episodes and divine intervention, you're going, at least I was like, okay, are they right? Am I crazy? Did I see that? But then
Because
what
we
would
doubt
happen?
ourselves, for sure. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And then we put these other people on a pedestal and think, oh well, they can do this and do that. But
I
what
do
I'm
that.
getting at, right? And
Yeah.
like what I'm getting at is in those early years, like 2011, 12, 13, 14, and even 15 up to the time I met Morgan. uh, there was a there was a lot of psychics and a lot of mediums that would come into my field, and they would never stay very long, but they would give me information. And there
Yeah.
was something in me, which this is what you referred to, that intuition doesn't just mean that you can connect to Saint Germain at will.
Right.
Intuition is, this is right. This
Yeah.
fits. I'm
That
not
knowing,
just, yeah, I'm
recognition.
not just taking it in as the gospel truth because somebody told me, and they're trying to blow smoke up my ass or whatever the case is, but you actually feel it. And it took me a long time to really accept that, but I think that's important because that's just as valid and relative as some of the other ways that people get this information or get the confirmation.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of programming. We adopt things that we think are truth, and we find out that they're not, and we have to unlearn. And unfortunately, with so many of these systems, people are programmed to feel unworthy due to misinterpretation,
Yeah.
because mistranslation or whatever. And so a lot of my work is actually to remind people of their divine worthiness,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. And you can't preach that effectively if you haven't reached it yourself, or at least,
Yeah.
what
You
I
have to
mean.
come to that level of knowing and understanding,
Yeah.
which I did through the help of studying biblical scholars. But I don't know, you come into a knowing and things that resonate. And when you understand things differently, like to sin, I mean, the correct translation of to sin means to miss the point or miss the mark. It's an archery term. And in Aramaic, the language that Jesus spoke, there is no word for sin.
Right.
So Christianity at large has taken this word and they've twisted
Yeah.
it and perverted it in a way to where now they use it to make people feel like they're bad and not worthy. And that's diabolical. That itself is a sin because they're
Yeah.
missing the point. Yeah.
Exactly. Go to the confession booth. Yeah. You do whatever you want for 6 days. Go to the confession booth and yeah.
Anyway.
But see, that's another thing that and see, now I'm remembering
Mhm.
what it was in 2014, 2015, and since then, when I when I was more into that news feed at Soulogy, I still,
Oh,
I just don't spend a lot of time floating around through stuff. But
you're frozen, so I can't hear you.
oh, you can't hear me.
Oh, sorry, it just froze for a minute. So you
Oh,
started to say something in 2015, and then I couldn't hear
well,
you.
what I was going to say is I'm starting to remember the things that resonated about you.
Oh,
One of those things was you made the reference to studying the biblical texts and the biblical writers and such. So these six ascendants that came in for me, they were all biblical prophets. Isaiah, Abraham, Samuel, Noah, Solomon, and Daniel.
Okay.
And so everything came in, and it had a little biblical, a little biblical accentuation to it,
Right.
but it was still very pure. And I didn't even understand galactic, and none of that had come in. The natives had come in, past lives,
Mm-hmm.
these spirit guides I was telling you about. But that's another thing that I really drew me to you, or that I understood about you, or knew about you, or recognized in you that was me. I don't know how you want to put it.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing was the what would you call this? Well, I guess it would be the union frequency, or the union energy of feminine and masculine. Like the way you wrote, and I haven't looked at anything, and I'm not going to say I haven't in say the last few months, but in those days, I remember, because I was feeling it too, and I was writing about it, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was like a channeling, and I guess that's what I recognized in your writing. It was just like so deep, like it was so pure. It wasn't even of this world, and I have only seen, really for me, 3 or 4 people that write like that. But do you still write in that regard? I think you've got poetic. What is it? You've got a couple of different pages, right?
Well, I have the poetry page and then an energy healing page and then like an
Yeah.
esoteric page for videos and stuff.
Yeah.
So the what I want to say is one of the guides I work with is Melchizedek.
Okay.
Sometimes that would be like a powerful helper right there, which is also biblical, isn't it? But anyway, so the main work is the Divine Heretic books, which all have a subtitle.
That's
Okay,
right.
and those, to me, that's the most powerful work. That's the rhyming poetic messages, and some
That's
people
right.
like it, and not everybody's cup of tea. And then I have genre specific books where I put it into the romantic genre or into the energy healing genre in case somebody just wants that. And then
Yeah.
I have the new series, which is the smaller, shorter books that are more popular, like mostly non-rhyming poetry, but also mixed in with sort of short discussions on energy healing or just life matters, more
Wow.
inspirational stuff. It's kind of like a combination. So there's a lot of those. Um,
Far
yeah,
out. That was another one of my questions, and I didn't want to sound like I was stupid, but you've written a lot of books, haven't you? I mean, you've
over
written.
60 so far. Yeah.
I didn't know the number was that big, but I thought, God, I want to ask this question. And maybe she hasn't written the books. Maybe she's written like 4, but you've written 60 books.
There's 14 of the Divine Heretic series, and then I can't remember how many there are of the what do you call it, genre specific. I think there's around 15. One of them's a worthiness series. There's Book of Worthiness, Apocalypse of Worthiness, Scriptures of Worthiness, and Providence of Worthiness, and it's just the poems that would apply to that kind of remembering and recognizing and honoring your worthiness. Because some people maybe need to be reminded that they don't have to feel crappy
Yeah.
because of some false programming. And then the little books, which there's not a lot in there. The big books are more like 375 to 400 pages, but
My
the
God, that's
smaller
a lot
books
of
are,
writing.
it's just a lot of work that's crammed in there. But yeah, this other books are maybe just over 200 pages and they're smaller. So that might be better for some people. It has more of those memes, which is mostly non-rhyming poetry or the discussions. And I think there's like 35 or 36 of those published right now. So, I mean, it's kind of a lot to choose from, but they're all very similar. They all have very similar setup and stuff in them as
Yeah.
far as,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a common thread in your stuff. And I don't know how you describe it, but and I have not written a lot in the last, year and a half or so, 2 years,
You've
because
been
of the.
pretty busy doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And, but you're like, there, I don't know. There's just a quality. I've seen it, and like I said, like maybe 2. I'm thinking 3 other people. I just discovered Michael Mejia a couple of months ago. He's in the same category, and I can't. And I'm a wordsmith, and I cannot frame this up. So let me try a different way. How do you write? Because I know, like back in the day, I would turn on the instrumental, the 2-minute instrumental from "A River Runs Through It," and I would
Oh,
just put it on loop, and I
yeah.
would sit there and for, I mean, like 6-8 hours a day, and then I would.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was just going to say in another way, and I'm not trying to promote myself. I'm just trying to see if I can break in and get what I'm looking for. So, like,
No, it's interesting.
then what would
Okay.
happen? I came off the streets and I saw an image, and then I put the image on the screen, and then I created words. It's like I merged with the picture. I don't even know how to explain it. You were talking about how different aspects appear to you, and you were really talking about these psychics and mediums and providing information, but almost for me it was like parts of me would come in and connect different parts of me, and then I would write. How do you write? Because you write so much too.
Yeah. So, and it might be some of that. And so I'm just going to explain it the way I realize it. Because some people channel and they know they're channeling, they know who they're channeling. So, my one friend said there's a council that works through you. So, okay, on whatever level that's happening, I don't exactly know. So when I write, now I might be inspired by I'm watching a movie and I'm taking some notes because something
Mm,
I'll write a couple words down for a title or whatever, or music is helpful for that too, same as you. But most, okay, so when I write, I'm either writing from experience, I'm drawing on memories and what the wisdom I gain from experience, okay, and sharing that, or something I learned from that experience. So let's say something was very challenging. It's like, okay, there's something to be told. So I will share whatever it was, which is focusing on that dark and shadowy stuff. And then what do you do about it? How do you come out of it? How do you transmute or alchemize it? You know, how do you make it into something better? So I do that a lot. Used to do a lot of story poems, but
yeah, I remember
sometimes I
that.
just write. Okay, so with the studying, there's stuff that I've taken on that resonates with me. So sometimes I am including into the writings what I've learned. So what I've learned and how I interpret it from whatever different teachers. Okay, so it's just a combination of experience, how I understand it, my feelings and emotions about it, whatever the spiritual thing is, however it's working through me. And but like I said, it might be inspiration from lessons learned. So that's mostly it. So the romantic stuff, I'm doing it from what I feel, what I have felt, or what I feel, or what maybe even like what you hope something to be. Now,
Yeah,
every once in a while, there'll be a spiritual teacher like Manly P. Hall or Thoth or something like that, where I want to share something of their teaching. So I will take like parts of what they taught and I will weave that into a poem. And then at the bottom, I'll put inspired by, and then I'll cite the name of the person that inspired that writing.
right.
You know, so sometimes if I'm just writing, I don't remember where I got it and how I'm weaving it in.
Yeah,
I've been writing for many, many, many years, and I've been an avid reader for a lot of those years. So it's just, so in other words, if there's beings working through me, I don't know exactly who it is or when it's happening, but sometimes I'll look back at the writing and go, wow. It's like, yes, I remember writing it, but like I'm not specifically aware of like who might be working with me.
yeah.
I also had a great great grandmother who was a fantastic poet, and I was doing some moon Nike writes, and my shamanic teacher goes, "There's this jittery old lady here for you." And I
Yeah,
go,
right.
"Yes." And my friend who's psychic and my mom go, "Oh, it's probably your great great grandma." I'm like, "Oh yeah." So maybe she's working with me too. She was a fantastic poet. So yeah,
Wow.
I don't exactly know, but you know, one time in Journey, Odin showed up for me. I mean, and then I work with Metatron. These are beings that have links with poetry, don't they? So
Yeah,
I think sometimes people know and sometimes people don't know. So with me, I'm a little bit like not in the not knowing stage, but I guess I just let it flow through for
yeah.
whatever wants to come out.
See, and I can relate to that. I totally can relate to that. I feel that I could have, I would not have answered it that way because I wouldn't have known how to answer that way until I heard you do it. But I never really, I could never really verbalize it. But that's to me, it was a, like an energy complex.
Yeah, it
Like,
is. It's complex. You're
yeah,
bringing stuff in from different
yeah,
areas or
yeah,
dimensions or whatever.
yeah,
And my one friend said to me, he goes, "You're a complex entity." Okay, well, I don't know what that means, but maybe we're just working at levels we're not even consciously aware
yeah.
of and
True.
how
I
it
mean,
works.
yeah, because we want to make it like, where the human can rationalize it, and it's not that type of comprehensible level. It's a multi-dimensional, multifaceted level. I saw a little bit of it when I first started doing videos back in 2014, and I would do these spirit walks, or I do them in the studio.
Yeah.
And back then I would go back and look at them just to try to discover nuances. I wasn't really like critiquing myself. I was like trying to put myself in someone else's shoes, looking like, what the hell am I doing? Because I was asking myself, what the hell are you doing? Because I was
Yeah.
just doing what I was told to do. But what I noticed was at different times, almost like different personalities would jump in.
Mhm.
Like you
Mhm.
might have this warrior jump in, then you might have this
Oh,
priest jump in.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
And yeah, and that's what I see. And here we go. That's what I see in your work. Like I could see the lover, and I love what you said a minute ago. Like this is something I experience or something that I'm seeking. It's like something you're creating, really. And but yeah, so I can see like the lover. I could see that priestess. I could see that Native American influence, even the Celtic thing when you brought that up, because I hadn't thought about that. But there's a lot of that in your stuff.
Hmm.
There's
Mhm.
a
Yeah. So I want to bring up that union thing you mentioned again. But first, the one friend that I have, he's like real in touch with angelic stuff. And he had told me a couple years ago, he said, you have the energy of the night, which we already mentioned. He goes, you have white eagle. That's strong. And then he said you have something like the energy of not a circuit rider, but like a preacher, like back in the 1800s or something. And sometimes when I watch my videos, I'm like, yeah, I'm preaching right now. So it's these elements that are there. Maybe there's energies that are with or around you that are working through
yeah,
you that are supposed to be there. And so, yes, maybe you're drawing from that in ways you don't even know.
yeah,
Like I resonate with the night thing, whatever
yes,
that is, and maybe not just on the male. I really like the idea of the balance between the divine masculine and divine feminine. So going back to what you said about the union, one time my shamanic teacher smudged me and she goes, oh, I'm getting the symbol for um, twin flame. And I'm thinking, okay, well, not sure exactly what that means because I didn't like have that going on a physical level that I was aware of in my
yeah,
life. But I think that's in a higher dimensional level. But part of, I guess, what I do too is sort of healing the effects of the imbalance of the patriarchy in the Abrahamic faith in the Western religions, where they did away with the mother, they did away with the goddess,
yes, yes,
and I read a book about Mary Magdalene by Claire Namad, and it was fantastic because she even pointed out that initially Muhammad, when he had his recitations, had a part in there that said that the goddess is just to be just as venerated as the god. But apparently, the imams decided after he died that that couldn't have been right. He must have been influenced by
yeah,
Satan. Pulled it out and called it the Satanic Verses.
yeah,
And look at the way the treatment and the things that are happening in the world today because of this gross imbalance. So, yeah, bringing that back into balance is very important, and it is happening.
absolutely it is. There's
Yeah,
no doubt.
yeah.
It's
So,
happening. It's happening because the feminine is has taken its power, and the what would you call it? The falsely empowered masculine is got nothing to support it anymore. It's just like crumbling.
yeah,
It's almost
because there's a
pathetic.
masculine that's far more powerful than that false
Absolutely,
empowered one, and
absolutely.
that's what I
Yeah.
love. I love the divine masculine,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
There's no doubt about that. And
yeah.
especially recently, and I think actually this portal today, there's something to that as well. I know Morgan and I have gone through in the last 10 days, I want to say 2 weeks from, we're talking like, just putting our hands together as we do every night. But so you had the emergence of the feminine. No, it was the masculine, the divine masculine hovered over me. And
Mm.
then he was like, I'm going to merge with you. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. But then it was like, oh my God, because I could see, and I knew in some way that was me,
Yeah,
but then there was this other part where the feminine out of me came, right?
yeah.
And then her masculine came out. And then we're looking at the light bodies and the higher selves and her masculine making love to my feminine. But again, this is all coding coming through to two people. It's coming. The whole point is it's to your point, it's happening.
It's
And
like
then
balance and restoration
mm-hmm. And
on
that's
whatever
what I love
levels.
about, and I think I'm not positive, but I never heard of twin flame either. But I think if I'm thinking back to about 2014 or 2015, I think I did a little series because I did about 1,500 memes, and
Mm-hmm.
about maybe 100 were, I labeled them twin flame. Instead of Soulogy, I put twin flame. I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know why I did that, but I think you were one of, if not the inspiration, because you were writing about, and again, it wasn't about specifics of here's how it works and all this stuff. It was just this energetic expression of the frequency of divine union or divine love or balance or whatever you want to call it. And I guess there was something innate in me because I could relate because most of the lives I can remember or recall, I was pretty much doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
the same path you had. But what I'm saying is, I knew that there was something powerful about putting an expression of this equilibrium, this cosmic universal equilibrium out there that would actually offset and help to deconstruct the patriarchal, and I saw that in your work. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is with the twin flame, I think I've done a lot of studying on it, and I have a little bit of understanding on it to a degree, which has to do with soul groups and higher self and what it is or isn't as far as how it applies. And it's supposedly said that most people actually don't come into contact with the twin flame here.
That's right.
Some people might disagree, but that it's very hard to maintain that in the 3D realm. A lot of ego triggers and whatnot, and people have had to have done a lot of work to have that connection. But I think on higher levels, it's there, that it's happening. So some people take it like there's something called a near twin. So from the studies, is the near twin is like a soulmate connection that you recognize and feel. And some people might think that's the twin, and they have the same soul group but different higher self, supposedly. And a true twin is the same higher self but different soul groups. You know, a lot of people were really attached to the idea of, because we crave that, we've been separated, that white fire body's been separated, and we're drawn towards that, and we hope to find it, and maybe we find aspects of it with people through different relationships. I think a relationship are greatest teachers.
True.
But so I think a lot of times, and other people that I've talked with about this feel this way too, but that a lot of times people think they have found a twin flame thing, and it might not be exactly what it is, but they don't want to hear that. So sometimes twin flames maybe is misunderstood or misperceived as something it's not, but it doesn't matter. It'll all come together in the end. Like they'll find out later what it is or what it isn't, but it's all there for the learning. Yeah.
And you know what, we're over here, me and Morgan and I, we feel the same way. I mean, we've had some things, and I'm going to share a couple with you because it's you and the things that you're saying that are coming to me, and I know I'm supposed to, but we don't know. At the end of the day, we really don't know. You know, you can never know. I mean, it's like the universe gives you 90% and the other 10%. I don't know if you call it, you got to provide the faith or the creative aspect or whatever the case is. But anyway,
knowing.
Exactly. But so you were talking dragons a minute ago. So we don't know. I just want to make that clear. We don't know. And I hate to say, make it sound this way, we don't care. Because the only thing that matters is in this present moment. And that's not a cliche. It's like, how can we maximize the potential? How can we expand this energetic expression, like I was talking about, the same one you do, that I was referring to, in this moment? And we've seen it both dimensionally and otherwise, the effects it has, not just us, but others. But so this would have been, we had probably about a year and a half. It ended about 4 to 6 months ago. We had about a year and a half of the dragons coming in, you know, like every week, you know, and different levels. And at one point, there was a really, almost toward the end, first part of this year, there was a white dragon came in. And it was actually a kind of a reptilian episode. This reptilian energy came into the room. We're laying there, and it was a feeling of like respect and honor and reverence. It's like two martial arts opponents that are about to get down. But you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I'm going to kill you, I hate you. It was more like, I respect you, you know. It was so, and the message was that, hey, we want you to know we've done our job. We played a role. It wasn't always easy, but we're done now. And so it was a very, very powerful episode. Right after that, what happened was this dragon energy came in and said, this group of us was from the original reptilian consciousness that came in. And this small group splintered off because we wanted to expand. And it kind of showed us the journey. And then it got to the end and said, now we are what we call the master dragon energy. Now they went on to explain, which is why I'm bringing this up, that the master dragon, this is what they said, 2 dragons of this level or whatever, it's very rare that they incarnate as twins, because it's such a very difficult thing to do. And anyone that has been in any type of relationship like this in the last few years can tell you there is a lot of triggers. There's a lot of chaos, and it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I've seen a lot too, and in the couples I talk to, and you can see it in the posts that people put out. You know, they meet somebody, hey, this is my twin flame, and then, you know, a week later they're no longer there. But you know, so it is an interesting thing.
It's a misperception, because sometimes we feel something, we think, is this that thing, and we find out later, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, well, yeah, because we want it. I mean, it's that phasing out of the wishful thinking of the codependent frequency. You know, it's just like, you know, we're learning to deal with the facts now. But I guess what I was going to end that with was you know, the like you said, in the end, you'll have the clarity. And that's why, like with Morgan and I, since we met each other, it was, hey, I know it's going to be this or something better with you or someone else. And I think you have to have that openness in whatever aspect of our journey in order to be able to engage the opportunities and the potential that are out there. You
Yeah.
know, we got to be
Yeah.
open.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a and I think the other thing about you too is, it isn't dogmatic. It isn't doctrinal. It's you're expressing from the physicality, a fusion of all that and all this down here, and it's more of a consciousness. It's an energy. It's a
Yeah.
vibration.
Yeah.
It's not like an
Exactly.
instruction or that type of thing.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that, through the writing and maybe some speaking and maybe some video production, I don't know of a better way to do it. You know,
Yeah. And the thing is, it reaches the people it's supposed to reach. It has a message for them. They say, oh, it's almost like you wrote this for me. Maybe I did.
yeah,
Maybe I
true,
don't know that at the time,
yeah,
but exactly, like maybe I'm being guided to write that because someone's going to see it who needs it. So that's what it's about. It's like,
yeah,
how is this going to be helpful for someone? And it's great that it is. And the feedback's nice because it helps me. It gives me the inspiration and motivation to keep doing it because
yeah.
it
And
helps.
like it's even like you said, and I was referring to, like happened to me, where these psychics would come into your field to deliver a message, and I would often think, well, why does Morgan just like snap her fingers and boom? Because I witnessed it, and I've witnessed it over and over, not just with her, where mine would have to come in the way it did, right? Like the way you were talking about.
Oh
But
yeah.
really it's one and the same, and if I look at like the work you do or the work that I do, I kind of see it like those were like they, at least on the surface, single shot episodes. You're walking down your path, they pop in, you have the interaction, the codes exchange, and you move on. Where I
Yeah.
think people like you, it's more of like a shotgun, like you've got pellets of energetic pellets going out, and you're able to reach people, uh, at a wider expanse, so they can still have that same experience they might have with you in an individual session. It just
Yeah.
comes through some of your work.
Yeah. And even if I'm talking about a subject that's not a pleasant subject, just things that a lot of people go through that are difficult, then it's just then to leave it on a positive note. It's like
Yeah,
there's hope at the end of this. It's like, let's talk about it, but what do we learn from it? How are we taking that wisdom, extracting the wisdom, applying it for forward movement? So it's, yeah, that's the energetic stuff too. It's like, take something positive from it, let the rest go. That's hard for people sometimes. And like lately, I've been doing some energy healing work just over the phone with people that, if they know how to do and go there, that's very powerful. I mean, you can see and feel the results that they're having, and it's
yeah,
great to be able to do that kind of work too. It goes deep.
yes, absolutely it does.
Yeah.
So there's like this, and I would imagine, and I didn't think about this. So you're actually, I don't know. I'm not trying to like. First, I got to say, like finally meeting you, and mixing the energy, you've far surpassed whatever expectations I had or whatever idiocy I had in terms of limitations. But yeah,
Well, thank you.
I'm like thinking to myself, why didn't we connect earlier? But I guess everything's perfect. But if I look
Yeah.
at you, I kind of see a combination of me and Morgan. Because like
Oh, that's cool.
the individual work, like
Yeah.
I know the power of that. I've done a little bit in my journey when I'm called to, but I'm not made for it.
Yeah.
My thing is more like the other side of you, where you're like throwing that shotgun of the cosmic pellets out into the field for people to pick up the seed or whatever they need. uh that's
It's
powerful
a good
though.
way to put it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
really.
is. That's a good way to put it because seeds, and then they're going to maybe take root and sprout in some places where they need to. I mean,
Yeah,
what I do is not for everyone, and not everyone is ready for it, but the ones that are, it can be helpful for them. And a couple of years ago, I was living in Utah, and you had stopped and visited with Dorian
damn
Owens.
nation, are you
I was
serious?
there. I was in Utah, and she told me you had been there. I'm like, dang it! I wish I would have known. I could have come over and said hi too, because she
I
and I
mean,
get to see.
I'm telling you, I've known you for a long time. I mean, it's never been like, hey, like, but
We weren't totally interactive, but we've known each other and followed each other's
I've
stuff for a while.
known. I mean, I'm telling you, it's one of the first. You were one of the first two or three, and But anyway, yeah, that was a trip going to Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I
went
talked to
over.
Rick when I was there too. Rick Jewers when I was there. I talked to him on the phone for a while. He's like, you
Is
might
that
be able to do
right?
some really good work when you're there. I'm like, yeah, I think so.
Damn.
Yeah, that was cool.
I
That was a while
remember
ago.
I went to her house and her and Freddie gave me a Dubai. What do you call it? Some kind of Duma or Dubra or some kind
Oh
of.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yes, that she
Yeah, they
does.
gave
I
me
can't
one of
remember.
those, man,
Yeah.
and so I had to drive back to Provo,
Mhm.
and it was probably like 6 in the afternoon. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty big highway.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driving back to Provo, and there's these mountains around me, and I was tripping balls, man. I was tripping balls. I thought, what in the hell? Because
Yeah.
normally somebody does something to me, I'm like, whatever. But it was powerful when it happened, and
Yeah.
then when I got on the highway, I thought maybe I shouldn't be even driving.
Yeah.
No,
Wow.
she's a
When you
beautiful.
feel it that deeply, yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah,
That's cool.
you're taking me back to that. So you were in Utah for a while, but now you're in what, Southern California now?
SoCal, yeah. My sons live in Utah, and I was living there for a year back at 2 years ago, whenever that was, 2 or 3 years ago.
What part of Southern California are you in? LA
San
area?
Diego, San Diego
Oh,
County.
you're in San Diego. I
Mm-hmm.
got a really good friend that lives over there, Ashley Lee. She's,
I don't know.
you know who you need to meet? Oh my God, you can't make this shit up. Michael Mejia. I don't
Mm.
know if you've seen his stuff. Poetry by Mike, the
I
poetry
don't
of
think
Michael.
so. Okay, I'll have to check it out.
He's from the same branch of the tree of life we are. I mean, he's
Okay.
the poet. It's you just have to see it.
Yeah.
It's like me running into you or Gop 5 6 years ago and going, whoa, I can understand it. It's not the same thing I'm doing, but oh my God, there's something going on there.
When it speaks to you, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
definitely.
lives there in San Diego with his
Cool.
partner, and they do these incredible video productions. He writes incredible poetry. I mean, I don't know what you call it,
Mhm.
but you use that term non-rhyming or poetry.
Yeah. Right.
To me, that's I never heard anybody say it that way, but to me, that's the one I like.
Yeah.
Right? I
Yeah.
like that because there's like this rhythm to it, and there is a
Mhm.
rhyme to it, but it's almost like I used to play the guitar, so in some of the music I like and that I wrote would be like kind of a half step off the beat,
Yeah. I know
like
someone who does that too. He's really good at it.
yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean.
In Wales.
That's the way that style is. I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go to Sedona the second half of this month for some
Nice.
events and broadcasting. I think
Nice.
Michael might come from San Diego and do a
Cool.
little collaboration. But
Very
yeah,
good.
so you guys are getting a bunch of you got a bunch of fires over there, huh?
We got the
Again.
fires. They're a few miles from my house, and we had some winds kick up last night, but they didn't last long, thankfully, because
So
those winds.
this is all the way down there then. I
Oh
haven't been
yeah.
keep I haven't been keeping up too much. I thought it was further north.
No. Well, they're all over the place.
It's a whole
Yeah, but this one, the Santa Ana winds play on it, and so it's possible that the fire has been moving away from us, but it's possible that it could be kicked back this way.
So I want to show people a couple things. You mind your stuff?
Oh no, go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so this let me just see if I can pull it up. That's it. So and I also and I don't normally do this because we try not to like be a marketing platform, but really your stuff is so good. And this is another thing I love about it. Now this is her Facebook page. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'll just show everybody energy healing writer, author, therapist, and then I think up here it's got a better explanation. Yeah, there it is. Clinical hypnotherapist, shamanic practitioner, energy healing, and of course writer and author.
Mm-hmm.
But like this, is it this one? No, it's the other one. That's a good one too, though. This first one.
You know what it was? Somebody was hammering my friend on his group, and I'm an admin on the group, and I just stood up for him. It's the whole nightly thing. And these two poems that you just pulled up is like the response. In other words, something happens, and how are we transmuting that? And this is maybe one way that I do it.
I can relate to that.
My phone, and it has all these weird things on it, but sorry.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
There's many times that somebody pissed me off or whatever.
People come in and they're acting in these most atrocious ways, and it's unprovoked. Where
and you can convert it, and that's what this is. Well, see, and okay, like this is. I just looked at this today, and again, it's like in between the lines. It's in between the words.
It is. There's a lot between the lines. Yeah.
So I looked at this one. You don't mind if I read it, just at least
Sure, go
some of
ahead.
it.
Yeah.
So one of the other things I want to say too is like there will be words in there. Like you could take out, I'm just trying to make an example. So you could take out like 60, 70% of the words and you leave in these key words
Mhm.
and you can still pick up, you can get it. I mean, it's crazy. It's like code. So,
Yeah,
okay, this
yeah,
one,
it
yeah.
is like code. Yeah.
So unprogramming brimstone, misinterpretations of evil, what we misperceive in others that might be in ourselves. When we haven't doused the falsely programmed brimstone, which creates a personal type of hell. When we lash out unprovoked against another because something triggered a monster within. When we misperceive due to what we misbelieve, misunderstanding the meaning of sin. When self righteousness is a prison, when we don't recognize as such, but use it to bolster our egos like a flaming broken crutch. When we don't know the meaning of honor, but use false labels like weapons or tools, not realizing that we're revealing about ourselves, causing innocent people to suffer dark fools. When we endeavor to heal, when kindness becomes like a king, when we project it towards self and others, our heart might once again sing. And, where I'm trying to go with this is another thing I noticed about you that always came very natural to me when I was writing back in those days was and people would even send me notes about it, which was you're never pointing the finger. You're always, if you point the finger, you're actually pointing it at yourself. You'll like throw it out and go, like I think it says up here in the beginning, like wherever it said what where you might be in yourself, like we're looking at mirrors.
It makes you where we are mirrors, and it makes you maybe think about something because maybe we don't realize we're acting in a certain way
Right,
that's hurtful to other people.
right,
And so, I always say from my limited perspective, but it really can't be about judgment, especially when we're doing energy healing things. We can't
right.
be about judgment. So a lot of what I write is to become aware of judgment and not be caught up in judgment, which coming through ego, limitation, misunderstanding, fear, walls, whatever, protection. So I don't know. With that, it's trying to get a message across with its broad spectrum. So it's not like targeting one particular person. Even if I am writing about my experience from one particular person, I'm still not naming names. I'm writing about something that I experienced from my perspective,
Yeah,
trying to get some wisdom from it, and then trying to say how I dealt
yeah,
with it, whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
And
And
some of
how,
them can be
yeah, because as the individual goes, so goes the collective. So
some
I
of the stuff
always,
I write though, that's like about things that were hurtful, like they're powerful and they're wordy and they're cheeky, and I laugh my ass off. Sometimes I sit there right and I am laughing so loud, and I
I can
love
see
those
that in
stuff.
you.
Yeah,
It's that
yeah,
Morgan's like that. It's like
yeah.
that. There's like,
I,
and I don't have it. It's like
I think it's part
this.
of the healing though. That's part of
Yeah.
my healing process when I laugh.
Well, but it's like this it's like this intelligence, not intellect, but
Mm-hmm,
intelligence, this
mm-hmm.
wit of intelligence. Because I believe that the greatest wisdom is in the humor. But I
Yeah,
wish I had that where I
it's
could say they're
powerful.
not dry comments either. They're just like these, they're like they ping you. Like
Yeah,
so
yes.
it's kind of a double or triple entendre kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing, but but you get it. You
Yeah,
get it.
definitely.
It's
Most
like
definitely.
calling them out.
Yeah, you
But
do.
again,
You're calling them out kind of off to the side, like not directly, but they might know it, but it's indirect and people
yeah,
can take it how they want. But if it helps them to think like, oh, was I a jerk to my neighbor the other day? Maybe I should think about, if it just makes you more aware, that's what it's all about.
that's right. Well, and that's right. People would ask especially the people that told me I was crazy back in the day, and they would say, "What are you doing?" And I always remember feeling like because now I'm trying to answer somebody who's not in this dimensional thing that I'm in, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I just want to make people think. I'm not trying to get them to come over to my side or I'm
Converting
just trying
anyone.
just
Yeah.
because I appreciate when people make me think,
Yeah.
like and they really call me out, like if it's because look, we came from this codependent frequency, we're coming out of it,
Mm-hmm.
where we had this give and take that was so subtle we weren't even conscious of it. And now it's nice, it's liberating to be able to just put something out and you don't look back, you just go on to the next one.
Yeah,
There's no string tied around it.
definitely. Most definitely.
So God, I can't believe it took this long to get together. I'd love to collaborate with you again.
Okay,
Uh,
sure. Now that I can figure this thing out, my neighbor was helping me. So what
yeah,
happened is I was unable to sign in on her computer
yeah,
and it wouldn't work on my phone, but she finally got it set up because she's a whiz kid. She helped me with the first of my books that I published. So
right on,
like the first Divine Heretic books, yeah.
right
She
on.
set them all up and they look really great.
Where
But
can
she,
people find your books?
Amazon, I mean, they're just all on it. There's some that are other places, but most of them are just all on Amazon.
Amazon, just
Yeah.
Divine,
Divine Heretic books, yeah.
yeah,
Or
Divine
Janine Palmer
Heretic
books.
books. Yeah,
Mhm.
so they could Google your name and author and probably get there. I'm sure.
Yeah, and the thing is, then they can decide whether they want those short books that are the non-rhymey type stuff, or if they prefer because some people like the rhymey ones, and there's good messages, they're powerful, but
I love them.
it's not everybody's cup of tea though. So.
No, everybody's well, yeah, but you provide a variety. You're like a buffet.
Yeah, the
Right?
nice variety
The
of genres and
smorgasbord.
styles. Yeah.
Do you know Alina Sanchez
No,
from okay.
I
So
don't think so.
I had her on about 10 days ago. She's out there. She's probably like 25.
Okay.
She's pretty powerful. Anyway, we've done some open mics, spoken word open mics
Oh,
at
nice.
Soulogy. Just
Okay.
kind of, and I think we might do one this weekend, and I'll send you a link on it. And
Yeah,
it's
I'd like to look at that. Okay.
we got like 8 or 9 people on the screen, and we just go around. We go around in a circle, and everybody just does something. You
Oh,
know,
that'd be fun. Yeah,
whatever they want to do. Yeah,
that sounds great.
yeah, they just read some of their words, or a couple of people did
Yeah.
light language, but it's just a spontaneous improvisational kind of thing. And I think she mentioned that on this show because of you, so
Oh,
that's why I was saying that.
awesome.
But
That'd be great. Yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
well, yeah, we'll do it again sometime. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of everybody for what you're doing, because um, I think we're starting to realize that these efforts, 60 books, I mean, you know,
I've been busy the past 5 years,
yeah,
and
and that's all
being down my
infused
key,
in,
I'm feeling it too. It's like,
yeah, right. But I mean, that's all infused into this grid,
yeah,
it,
no,
it
we're
really,
we're all doing the work in similar and different ways,
yeah,
and it's nice to be able to support each other for
yeah,
sure.
absolutely. And this is a new, a new part of this experience too, is collaboration and co-creation without agenda, just like, let's just get
Exactly.
together, let's rock and roll and see what we see. Let's see if we can show the universe how nothing raises hell like
Yeah,
the light, right?
no agenda, but just ascension, alchemy, healing. It's all about
That's right.
healing. We all have a lot to heal, whether we know it or not.
That's right.
Yeah, and
And
so
then,
it's good work.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and-
true. And sometimes the stuff that you don't know about is easier to heal than the stuff you know about. Right.
well, yeah, maybe because
The
it
stuff you
happens
don't
with
want
the
to
work we
face,
do.
right?
Yeah, well, true, true. And when we do face it, you're very brave to do that. I haven't been as active in groups lately because I've just been
Yeah.
too busy, and I really need to get back in there and sort of poke around and be more
Well,
active.
if we can help you, I mean, this is a platform for people like you. So if we can help you in any way, don't be shy. And
Yeah, I'll post there more. I'll be more active.
until then, yeah. And seriously, if you need anything from me, you just let me know. Don't be shy, because I'm
Okay.
here. I'm here to serve with you. Let's put it
Yeah.
that
Well,
way.
thank you so much. I really appreciate
It's a pleasure
honoring to
meeting
be
you.
on here. And thanks so
You're
much for what you're doing. We'll be in touch.
you're amazing. Take
You
care.
are too. Take care.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye.